On January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs stepped onto a stage in San Francisco and held up a small piece of glass. The very first iPhone. About 3,000 miles away in the executive boardrooms of Espoo, Finland, executives brushed it off. At that exact moment, Nokia owned over 40% of the global mobile market. They were seemingly invincible. But within 30 months, that single piece of glass from Apple would completely shatter the most powerful telecom empire on Earth. How could a brand that dominated the entire planet lose everything so historically fast? To understand the downfall, we first have to go back to a time when Nokia wasn't just a tech company. Nokia was the mobile market. Starting as a simple paper mill in 1865, the Finnish company transformed through rubber boots and cables before conquering the world with mobile phones in the 90s. Almost everyone owned a Nokia. The devices were legends in their own right. The battery lasted an entire week, the hardware was practically indestructible, and the iconic Nokia ringtone echoed at every train station, cafe, and office. Profit margins were astronomical. Nokia sat on mountains of cash and poured billions into research and development. And here is the first great paradox of this story. Nokia was by no means blind to the future. As early as 2004, a full 3 years before the iPhone, a secret R&D team inside Nokia built a working prototype of a touchscreen smartphone with an integrated online app store. Everything was ready. Everything they needed to dominate the digital age had already been invented. But that product never made it to store shelves. Executive leadership didn't dare to take the gamble. Why sell a device with a fragile glass screen when you are selling tens of millions of plastic phones every month with guaranteed high profits? Within the walls of the Espoo headquarters, a quiet poison began to spread. A poison rooted not in the hardware but deep inside the corporate culture. And it was about to take complete control. As Nokia grew into a global superpower, the atmosphere at the top shifted. The engineers and visionaries who built the company were replaced by bureaucratic managers. Managers focused on a single objective: meeting quarterly targets and protecting existing market share. What organizational experts later called a culture of fear took hold. Nobody dared to deliver bad news to top executives. And the bad news was piling up. The core foundation running all of Nokia's smart devices, the Symbian operating system, was turning into a technological nightmare. Symbian was originally designed in the 90s for basic feature phones with physical keypads. Adding a single new feature to Symbian required engineers to rewrite hundreds of thousands of lines of complex code. While Apple was building a sleek, modern operating system based on OS X, Nokia's software developers were drowning in an outdated digital swamp. Engineers knew Symbian was failing. But when an engineer approached management and warned that the system would lose to Apple, they were dismissed, reassigned, or ignored. Afraid of repercussions, middle managers forwarded only glowing reports to the top. Senior leadership lived in total denial, believing their software was unbeatable. When Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone, Nokia reacted with arrogance. Their official response? It's an expensive gadget with a screen that gets dirty and breaks when dropped. They assumed they had all the time in the world to react. But while Finnish executives debated in committees, another tech giant in Silicon Valley made a move that would prove fatal. That competitor was Google. Google immediately recognized what Apple had done. It was no longer about the plastic hardware, it was about the operating system. Google acquired Android, developed it at lightning speed, and offered it completely free to every phone manufacturer on Earth. Samsung seized the opportunity immediately. Within 2 years, the market transformed completely. Consumers demanded apps, touchscreens, and speed. Nokia's sales collapsed at a historic pace. Inside the company, engineers begged the board, abandon Symbian and switch to Android. It would have made Nokia an instant contender once again. But the arrogance at the top was too deep. They refused to become just another Google follower. In a desperate bid to turn things around, they appointed a new CEO in 2010, Stephen Elop, a former top executive from Microsoft. In early 2011, Elop's famous internal memo leaked, known as the Burning Platform Memo. He wrote, "We are standing on a burning platform. Our software is burning, our market position is burning, and we are surrounded by flames." It was a painfully accurate analysis. But his master plan to extinguish the fire turned out to be a bucket of gasoline. Elop announced that Nokia would ignore Android entirely and bet everything on Windows Phone, Microsoft's brand new mobile operating system. It was a bizarre alliance. Nokia abandoned Symbian immediately, before Windows phones were even available in stores. Sales of existing devices ground to a halt overnight. After all, no consumer buys a phone when the manufacturer itself declares the operating system dead. Windows Phone turned out to be a catastrophic failure. The hardware wasn't the issue. The Nokia Lumia line was beautifully crafted with industry-leading cameras. But the platform lacked one crucial element: apps. Developers refused to build apps for an operating system with minimal market share, and consumers refused to buy phones without their favorite apps. It became a vicious cycle Nokia couldn't escape. On September 3, 2013, the final blow fell. Nokia's mobile division, once the pride of Europe, was sold to Microsoft for a fraction of its former value. A business once worth over $100 billion was handed over for just 5.4 billion euros. A few years later, Microsoft wrote off the entire acquisition as worthless and laid off thousands of employees. During the press conference announcing the sale, Nokia CEO uttered the heartbreaking words, "We did nothing wrong, but somehow we lost." The harsh reality, however, is that they did do things wrong. Nokia confused present success with a guarantee for the future. They listened to managers instead of engineers, ignored changing consumer behavior, and clung to outdated technology out of fear of disrupting their own business model. Nokia survived as a company by reinventing itself as a telecommunications network provider and 5G infrastructure leader. But the iconic phones in our pockets disappeared forever. The fall of Nokia serves as the ultimate warning for every business on Earth. It doesn't matter how big you are, how many billions you have in the bank, or how beloved your brand is. If you refuse to innovate, the world moves on without you. Which tech giant today do you think risks becoming the next Nokia? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dive business documentaries. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.